coming, the Yanks are coming, the drums rum-tumming everywhere.
Welcome back to my show. Today we're going to be interviewing another veteran who will tell you his life in the military, the challenges he faced, and the world that he lived in. The American Army's Engineers was started during the Revolutionary War. The Army Engineers began on June 16th, 1775 in the Continental Army. Their leader was Colonel Richard Gridley. During the Revolutionary War, the engineers had many tasks. They built roads, surveyed and drew maps, made bridges and entrenchments. In fact, the entrenchments around Yorktown that sealed the fate of General Cornwallis were designed and dug by Washington's engineers. During World War II, the engineers built most of the airfields for the Army Air Corps, which they used to fly bombers and fighters off of. After the invasion of Normandy, the engineers cut through the hedgerows, the enormous overgrowths, which divided French farms. This allowed troops and tanks to pass through these large, tough barriers that the Germans used to ambush our forces. They were also called many times to fix or place bridges that the enemy had destroyed. When our troops reached the Rhine River to go into Germany, the enemy had blown up all their bridges, save one. This one was the Remagen Bridge in Germany. It is not completely damaged, but it was damaged, and our troops were moving over it, but it was kind of going towards being destroyed. So the combat engineers went on to repair it, welders and construction men. The Germans attacked it with artillery, bombers, and speedboats filled with explosives. It was further damaged. They had been working on it for several days, and they worked in shifts, but on 3 p.m. on March 17th, with our men on there, in 1945, it splashed into the water, taking 33 combat engineers killed and 66 wounded. During Vietnam, the engineers built Cam Ranh Bay, the seaport. They constructed many of the fire bases and defenses. While in the Middle East, they again were responsible for defensive construction of bases and clearing obstacles, including IEDs. There's an elite group of engineers. They're called sappers, and they wear a distinctive badge. To earn this, they must attend a 28-day sapper leadership course. It is extremely physical and trains on engineering principles, combat leadership. Not all who enter pass those courses to become sappers and wear the sapper's patch. The motto of the Army Combat Engineers is Séance, or let us try. My guest today is Army Engineer Major Daniel Johnson, who enlisted September 1992, attended construction training school as an enlisted man, deployed to Iraq from 2004 to 2005. In 2008, he entered engineer officer training. He received a bachelor's degree in science in political science at Ashford University in 2007. He also achieved a master's degree in American history at the American Military University. He served a tour in Iraq again in 2009 and 2010, and then served a tour in Afghanistan from 2012 to 2013. He again deployed to Syria in 2017 to 2018. He attended Command and General Staff College in 2023. He has received a Bronze Star, a Meritorious Service Medal with 1 Oak Leaf Cluster, the Army Commendation Medal, Army Achievement Medal with 2 Oak Leaf Clusters, the OIF, OEF, and OIR service medals for service in the Middle East services, and a Combat Action Badge, and several others. Welcome to my show, Dan.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
What made you decide to go in the Army?
Actually, the Navy decided for me to join the Army, and I'll tell you why. It's a funny story. So my dad was Navy during Vietnam, and I was turned 17. I was a senior in high school, and I decided I wanted to join the service to help pay for college. So my dad said, well, let's go talk to the Navy recruiter, because my dad, again, was Navy. So we went and we talked to the Navy recruiter, and I don't know if that guy was having a bad day or what, but he was just rude. And my dad goes, my son's not joining the Navy. We walked across the hall and I joined the Army. So that's how it went down.
You started out as listed man. Where'd you go to basic and then AIT?
So I went to basic in Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, and AIT at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri.
What was that training like to be an engineer? I know you worked as a carpenter.
So I was carpentry masonry specialist. The MOS was 51 Bravo at that time. I think it's 12 something now, but it was 8 weeks of training. They taught you how to pour cement and how to build structure and things like that. It wasn't too terribly difficult, but it was something I wasn't used to doing. So.
Is there anything that you remember about those experiences that stick you out?
Well, basic training, I had never left pretty much the state of Illinois until I got to basic training. I'd never even been on a plane before I left for basic. So the first couple of weeks took some adjusting to living with, living in an open bay with I was in a Boy Scout, so I was used to kind of camping and stuff like that, but this kind of hit me in the face pretty hard.
It's very interesting. Mm-hmm. You deployed to Iraq. Can you tell us what the experience was like? So
I deployed to Iraq 0405. That was my first tour. I was an E5 sergeant at the time. And I was fill-in for, they had different units deploying throughout the country. And there was a unit in Puerto Rico that, an engineer unit in Puerto Rico that needed backfills, that we called them. So I got pulled from my unit in Kankakee where I was stationed, along with many other people, but that went all over. But I deployed with a unit from Puerto Rico.
What is the country like over there?
Iraq?
Yeah.
It's a lot of sand, believe it or not. They didn't, where we were, they didn't have a whole lot of infrastructure. So that's what we were there to help do. We were help building up infrastructure. And I don't know if you remember, at that time, we didn't have up-armored vehicles. So part of our job was to use scrap metal and up-armor, weld, and fortify a lot of the Humvees and everything going into the country.
Great. What was the main difficulty you had to deal with over there?
Just being away from family for so long. Well, I always get a kick when I watch TV shows like Survivor, and they're like, I haven't seen my husband in 10 days. I'm like, all right, I was there 15 months. And there was, at that time, there were limited phone calls. If you could get through, you only had about 5 minutes to try to talk to, my mom and dad.
What were the holidays like?
So they actually did try to do well for our holidays. They would typically, you'd probably get like a steak or something like that. It wasn't the best steak, but they tried to help you out. Like Thanksgiving, you would have turkey with the fixings and everything. And actually, Lou Malnati's Pizza, which is a local Chicago favorite, they would send frozen pizzas with instructions on how to cook them. So we would sometimes get that, depending on where we were in the country. And they did the same thing for like the Super Bowl.
Well, that had to be good. What made you decide to become an officer?
So it was May of 2007, and the surge was going on in Iraq. And my first sergeant came to me and said, Dan, we noticed you have a bachelor's degree. And I said, I do. He goes, well, the Army needs officers right now. So they have a special direct commissioning program. So that was May of 07. I filled out some paperwork. I did a couple of interviews with colonels and higher ranking officers. And November 1st of 2007, I was promoted to second lieutenant.
Did you go through officers training?
Not before I was promoted to second lieutenant, but then I went the following summer. So that was November of 07. 2008, I went to officer school at Fort Benning, Georgia, and then I went to engineer officer school at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri.
What's the
again.
difference?
So Fort Benning, it kind of teaches you infantry type tactics, and then engineer school is strictly engineer, how to bridge, do route clearance, that kind of stuff.
What were your duties at this point?
So I was a platoon leader when I got back from school, and then we deployed to Iraq. My unit deployed to Iraq then, again, 09 to 10.
Did you travel to a lot of different duty stations while you were in?
Yes, I've been to Germany. I did a stint in Romania to 2018. I actually adopted my dog from Romania. I had this little German Shepherd-looking dog that would follow me around, and so I asked if I could adopt him, and they allowed me to adopt him.
Yeah, he pretty much takes over in your life.
He
doesn't
does,
he?
yeah. He's a good dog. My wife and I don't have any kids, so he's our little kid. So
I catch him on Facebook.
yeah.
In 2009, you again deployed to Iraq. How is this different as an officer as opposed to enlisted man?
So it was a lot different. I wasn't used to going to so many meetings, not getting a whole lot of sleep because I was constantly doing debriefings and different things like that. And we had several projects going on throughout Baghdad where I was at. And so my attention was, all over the place at some time. Sometimes you wouldn't sleep. I always looked forward to Sundays because that was our maintenance day. So we kind of, I wouldn't say day off, but it was a little bit easier on Sundays.
Understood. What were the duties of your enlisted team?
So we were horizontal construction. So we did a lot of roads. So we did parking lots, just building up infrastructure on our base.
I know one of the units that I supported was a combat engineer group in Afghanistan, and they said that one of the things that they did was put in electrical and water and that for the villages.
Yes.
Did you guys do that too?
Yes, we did that as well.
You had a short period stateside again. What were those challenges like now that you were an officer?
Stateside, it wasn't so bad. I did a stint at Camp Atterbury after I got back from Iraq in 2010, where I taught counter IED, and I was actually company commander at one point for a year while I was there. That's where I did my command time. And then I went to Afghanistan, came back from Afghanistan, and then I taught driver's training at Camp Atterbury for units that were going through.
In 2012, you again deployed overseas into a war zone, this time Afghanistan. What was that like, and how was it different than Iraq?
So it was a lot different than Iraq because I didn't deploy as an engineer. I deployed as just a general officer. So so I was on a staff, and what we did was we trained the Afghan border police. So that was a lot different because I'm not an MP and I had really no background in it, but I helped train up their staff in operation duties and logistics.
What are some of the difficulties an officer has to face in a combat area?
Well, you've got, you're responsible for a lot of people, and you have to make on-the-spot decisions. You can't always call back to headquarters if something goes on. So it's a lot of weight on the shoulders of officers and non-commissioned officers alike.
I'm sure that sometimes it stresses you out.
Yeah, you get stressed sometimes.
You attended different training courses, including Combat Advisory Academy and the General Staff College. What were those like? So
the Combat Advisor Academy was right before I went to Afghanistan. That was kind of a, I wouldn't say quick course, but a course in how to deal with foreign officers, because you're not used to it. I mean, so just different things like how to use an interpreter and how, like if we had an interpreter right now, I wouldn't be looking at the interpreter. I'd be looking at you listening to the interpreter. Just little things, nuances like that that help you build rapport with your counterpart when you're over there.
Now, when you were over, did you have any dealings with local?
Yes, yeah, we dealt with locals a lot because, like I said, we were with the embedded with the border police, so we did have run-ins. Run-ins is a strong word. We did have contact with
Right.
a lot of locals.
You're involved with two organizations, the Masons and the Oaklawn Order of Elks.
Yes.
What do those organizations do, and how are you involved?
So for the Elks, they do a lot for needy families. They do a lot for veterans, actually. Twice a year, they get the Mantino vets, and we bring them, we bus them in, bring them to our facility it's actually in Chicago Ridge, but it's called the Oaklawn Elks. And then we feed them. So we give them, it's usually a Thanksgiving, or we try to do something around Veterans Day and Thanksgiving. And then like like around July 4th too. So we bring them in, we feed them, they play bingo, they do scratch off cards. If they have family in the area that want to come see them, we let the families, come see them. But we've had anywhere from 25 to 30 veterans that come out from Antino. And a funny story is one of them was my very first platoon sergeant. So Sergeant First Class Bruce Metlock. And when I first saw Bruce, he looks at me, he goes, I know you. He goes, you're Private Johnson. And I said, well, I'm Major now. And he goes, really? And he says, yeah. So now when he comes in, he's like, where's the Major? He always wants to, so I take care of him when he's there.
And how about the Masons?
So the Masons, they do a lot in the community. I know they just helped out the Oaklawn Arts program with a nice check. They do dyslexia is one of their big things. They help with they do scholarships for kids that would normally not be able to afford to get the schooling they need for that. So, and it's good in the community. I'm also a Lion, so Lions Club does a lot for the blind.
That's great. Now, I know you got care packages when you were over.
Yes, because you sent them to me.
How does that go over there?
Oh, it's wonderful.
I mean, how do they feel about it?
You wouldn't believe how morale can go from nothing to 10 just by getting a bag of Tootsie Rolls. And I'm being serious. Like when the care packages come out and you can pass out candy, and then it helps build rapport with the locals too, because then the kids pass out candy that many of them have never had before.
Right.
So it's I used to carry, when you'd send me the Tootsie Rolls, I used to carry them in my cargo pocket, and when the little kids would come up to the trucks and we were talking to the locals, I would hand them some Tootsie Rolls.
Well, believe me, I'm glad that I've been doing that, and I'm glad that we helped you.
Yes, it helps tremendously.
I believe you talked about retiring. What's your future plans?
So I currently have 33 years of total service. I have about 18 years of active federal service. So in order for me to get an active pension, I have to do 20. So that will take me to August of 2028. So I will retire August 2028. Fingers crossed, hopefully getting my full pension.
I understand. This is a question I ask all of my guests. It's the last one, and I think it's an important one. How do you feel about being a vet?
It's nice. I think you mentioned before the cameras came on that like only 3% of the United States are veterans or served in the military at all. I love it. I get to talk to people from Korea, Vietnam, World War II, and we get to sit at the Elks Club or the VFW and kind of share war stories. And it's a nice outlet. These places are really good outlets for veterans that sometimes just want to tell their story.
Well, thanks for coming on my show. Please accept this pin and this coin.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
I'd like to read some of the letters I get from the units we send. I'm read one I just got. Dear friends, I want to thank you for your support to the sailors of the USS Carl Vinson, exhibited through your kindness of sending Christmas cards during 2024 to 2025 deployment. We have returned home from our long deployment, and your support helped encourage sailors these past months. During these months at sea, it is often little things that help make difference in the day for a sailor. The items you sent may seem like a small thing, but it made an impact. Those items, along with your thoughts and prayers, were great and encouraged what is difficult to measure but greatly appreciated. Thank you for your kindness and support, and pray the Lord continues to bless your work and the ministry of others. Chaplain Carl Mueller. Before I say goodbye, I want to wish our Leatherneck friends a belated 250th birthday. Also, to you men and women that are on guard, either home or overseas, we wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year's and a great Thanksgiving. We're behind you. We support you. We thank you. Thank you for watching my show here on PHTV4. I hope to see you next year. Well, there'll be no show next month. Thank you, honor, and respect.